It's hard to imagine this is how 2020 started. But across the world, dozens were falling ill with a mysterious virus that would ultimately change life as we know it.
Chinese health authorities are still working to identify the virus behind a pneumonia outbreak in the central city of Wuhan.
At least 59 people are believed to have been sickened by the new virus.
Tonight, U.S. airports on high alert, screening passengers for symptoms of a deadly new virus.
If you want to know what will happen next with COVID in the UK, it helps to keep an eye on comparable countries.
Meanwhile, a new coronavirus variant has been found in France's Brittany. Now, in a statement, the French Health Ministry has said that the new mutant strain has been found in a cluster of cases, several of which had not been detected by the RT-PCR tests.
COVID-19 gave me a beating physically and mentally.
It's been almost a month since the first case of COVID-19 was confirmed.
I'm inspired by so many stories. I regularly watch Goalcast and TED Talk videos that motivate and inspire to shift me into a more positive mindset. Because the stories that we tell ourselves can be what makes or breaks us. And for me, I'm also conscientiously digesting a diet of both uplifting and haunting stories to gain a more holistic truth, a more enlightened understanding of what it means to be conscious. And no one story has it all. No one story can answer that. So we have to collect these small fragments of experience, as many as we can from as many stories as we can.
All right, so I am sitting here with two amazing artists. We have Tay Love, a singer, songwriter, and rapper, and we also have Wolf, a singer, songwriter, and just all around amazing creative. And basically we're just gonna sit down and just talk about storytelling through music and how it's shown up in our past year. But before we jump in and just have a conversation, do you guys want to tell us a little bit about yourselves? Who are you artistically and what kind of music you engage with or engage in and so forth?
Sure. So hello, everyone. My name is Tay Love. I'm from Washington, D.C. I'm a recent college graduate from Baldwin Wallace University. I'm a proud educator along with being a recording artist. And as an artist, I strive to uplift youth mental health. I'm passionate about arts education and disparity within our communities, within low-income communities. And I'm also passionate about bridging the gap between faith and culture within music and engaging in those conversations.
I'm Wolf from Washington, D.C. I'm singer, songwriter, entrepreneur. I make R&B, soul music. Love to connect with people. I love to, get people emotions going, good, all around love type of guy.
I love it. I love it. Lead with love. I think love above all else is definitely one of my mottos. Just with everything that I do, I'm also an educator. In addition to the artistic director for Droom, so it's definitely something that I take with me in all areas of my life. So with that, you two are pretty awesome, and thank you for doing this as well. with that, I'm curious to like hear how do you both I guess define storytelling, and like what is its relation to like your music respectively, right?
To me, storytelling has to be authentic. It has to be something that can be vividly seen from one person to another just by the words that you use. Over the past year, I've noticed even more of a saturation in regards to the music industry of just like TikTok songs going more viral, songs that are more like, but I feel like it's more shallow and lacking in storytelling. But I think that's why I pride myself more in creating more vivid and authentic songs, with those where people can actually see what I'm talking about versus just a feeling, but they can actually almost put themselves in my shoes through the stories that I'm telling.
Love that.
Nice. And, for me, I would say storytelling is a form of communication. You know, and as far as my art form, it helps me express like my emotions at either like a particular moment or like at a period of time, and it just helps me translate with my fans or anybody listening to the music how I feel and how I feel this way, like why I feel this way. The song kind of explains emotion.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I love that you both sort of like touched on this idea of storytelling being this communication thing, right? This source of communication. And I think one way it's like really showed up in the past year, it really connected I guess humans in a way that was really just powerful and authentic over the past year alone, right? I feel like stories definitely show up or have shown up throughout our lives for probably since the beginning of time, if I'm being honest, right? Just thinking back to like even like cavemen, like writing or like being able to like write on the rocks and write and telling their stories and their narratives that way, and then like progressing through more oratory ways of storytelling and so forth. So like in the past year, like as musicians, what was COVID like for you and your creative process, and how did that I guess evolve or maybe not?
COVID definitely made being an artist a lot more difficult because it took away the ability to actually really have more experiences going out, meeting new people, and doing things that you had never done before. But it also, I feel like for myself, expanded my creativity because I got a lot of influence from movies that I watched. One movie that I want to uplift in particular is Just Mercy. A lot of the challenges that we've seen in our world over the past year were political or racial and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But that movie in particular really inspired me on a new level as an artist in regards to storytelling as well. Because I think through the pandemic, we witnessed people become silenced. And I believe that it gave an artist a greater responsibility to tell those stories that a lot of people couldn't.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I definitely feel like the artist role is definitely, especially like through crisis, right? The artist has a pivotal role in the way that our stories are told, even like this time, right? Even the time, like thinking about when we're like 10, 20 years from now, right? People are going to look back and they're going to look at like the art that was made throughout this time to like really like gauge like what was happening in 2020, right? So yeah, also Mark, Wolf, sorry, if you wanted to like hop in there too, and I guess just talk about like your creative.
Yeah, my creative process has been pretty interesting. I would say, as far as not being able to like go out and have these experiences or even connect with people in person, but just like a lot of creating in my home studio alone, or like just learning how to better myself and my craft, learning how to like mix more, or just other things that help my creative process, still keep my creative juices flowing, but also learn at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was also like the beauty of COVID. I feel like we were all able to sort of take on like passions or just interests that we wouldn't necessarily may have had the time to do before. So I definitely feel like so I guess in that what are like I guess some upsides from the past year for you creatively or just musically?
Definitely time. And I learned that time is the greatest asset anybody can have because before COVID, I don't think that we treated time as precious as it really is. And then when COVID hit, time was all we really had, you know, because once you got off work from home, you could literally go lay back in bed, you know, when probably before COVID, you know, you got off work, you had to wait in traffic, and you had all these other things that we get so consumed in. Right. But I think COVID forced us to focus on some of those things that are maybe more important, like family and being creative or being entrepreneurial minded. I think it really opened up. That was some of the upsides that I observed through COVID.
Yes, definitely with time and just being able to like sit with my thoughts and just like being able to figure out my next steps or just figure out, you know, what I want to do and like lay more like foundational plans out for myself ahead, you know. And also like with learning new hobbies and like I mentioned before, like I've been cooking more and just, you know, I think those are some of the upsides. Definitely more time that we take for granted all the time.
Yeah. Absolutely. I know for myself, like I definitely like picked up the guitar over the pandemic. I wouldn't say I'm like in a place to definitely play for people yet, but definitely was able to like at least get a guitar and actually like begin to like take lessons, which is something I've been like, because I just have an appreciation for the guitar, just as an instrument. It's one of my favorite instruments. So yeah, I'm super, super excited for that. So I guess thanks to COVID for that, right? In that, like what adjustments, if any, like have you all like made to your creative process through COVID, or like how has it affected the way you engage with your art or the way it's delivered?
I started a home studio during COVID. So that's actually new for me because before COVID, I was so used to traveling all around, going to different studios, experimenting. But due to COVID, I actually started my own home studio now. And it's been a challenge, but it's also had a lot of opportunities for me to learn and grow as an artist.
No, I definitely understand that. I would say definitely more like solitude recording, like just by yourself and, you know, figuring it out yourself and like just playing with it and learning, you know, and just learning about yourself more too. Because in these, you know, times where you're learning other things, you're also learning more about yourself, you know, well, me.
No, absolutely. I feel like also like just in this past year, I guess I'll say for me as well, like it's definitely given me a lot of time to reflect. And I feel like maybe for almost everyone, you know, it gave us time to sort of either reflect or to like figure things out or like figure out or even like restructure and like reorganize, right? I like to say like, obviously, like we all went through like challenges when it came to either maybe it was finances, maybe it was like health, or like just the health of like our loved ones, right? So definitely wasn't like an easy year for sure, but like I definitely think it had like some positives to it, right? For sure. And so in that, like, have you all been able, right? So being that everything was like transitioned to like this virtual space, right? Were you all able to sort of, I would say maybe like connect with your audiences in the same way, or maybe even expand the amount of people you're able to like collaborate with, whether that be nationally or globally?
I would say COVID actually opened up the door for me to be able to connect with people more nationally than ever before. There's an artist under a popular record label called Reach Records under an artist named Lecrae, but a smaller artist named 1K Few. I was actually able to connect with him through social media, and I think that opportunity opened up because of COVID, because he wasn't, as a bigger artist than myself, wasn't able to go out and connect with people. He opened up his social media as a platform to be able to connect with people. And that was big for me as an artist, to be able to connect with an artist bigger than me, that I think COVID opened up the door for.
Yes, it definitely opened up a lot of opportunities because people are now, you know, right next to their phone. Like you said, you're working from home. So, you know, social media is most likely right next to them. And it definitely gave it away that it's more accessible now, you know, to different artists and different people. And I made a lot of meaningful connections through Instagram just from the pandemic alone.
Absolutely. And I guess sort of to touch on that, for me, like I'm a fan of like live performance, right? So like when everything was happening as a theater company, you know, most of productions happen live. So like having to like figure out how do we exist in like this virtual setting, right? So the past year, we've really been leading heavily on open mics. And this was a huge thing for us, or virtual open mics, I'll say. And it was a huge thing for us because one of our biggest goals was to find a way to still connect with our audiences, but also still to provide space for creatives to create and stay motivated during that time, right? because it was such a crazy, crazy time for all of us. And it still is, because it's still ongoing. And so in that, like, what lessons do you think could be like learned from the pandemic as storytellers and like consumers of entertainment?
I would say, as storytellers, I think we have to learn. I think I learned that there's always a story. You know, it's always a perspective yet to be explored. It's always, you know, a voice that that needs to be heard. And I feel like as consumers, I think we can learn to appreciate art more, because you know, art, it doesn't come easy all the time, and it doesn't always come from a place of light. You know, sometimes it comes from a place of darkness. But just to be able to like feel it, to observe it, to, you know, just listen, you know, and then I feel like that's the easy way to connect with people. You know, sharing experiences, like, and that's ultimately a great way. One of the best ways to share experiences, one of the best ways to connect, by sharing experiences, because then you form a level of empathy. I know you, you know, I have a sense of understanding of who you are. You have a sense of understanding of who I am, and, you know, and it just builds a better community like that.
I strongly agree with that, Wolf. I think through the pandemic, we learned the power of technology even more, and we have a greater appreciation for it because generations before us didn't have it. And really, like you said, in regards to storytelling, everybody has one, and everybody has a story that is significant, and perspective is everything. I think that's one of the biggest things I learned as an artist as a result of COVID, is that perspective is everything, because our whole world was going through the same thing, but we weren't going through it in the same way. Yes. So really having more compassion for others, and really being willing to be a voice and advocate for others, because there were even certain countries going through COVID worse than us. And, you know, we can't turn a blind eye to that, but we can advocate for them as well.
Absolutely. I love that you both sort of touched on like this idea of like a universal story. I definitely think that was definitely a shared experience, and it still is. And in that, I feel like it definitely like was able to shine a lot of light on various stories. And also I feel like it was beneficial in a way that it sort of shined a lot of light on a lot of like inequality, but also it shined a lot of light around like compassion and like and having empathy for individuals, which I think is like super, super important when it comes to just being a person, right? It's how we connect as individuals. It's like one of those feelings, or one of those like characteristics that like really connect us as people. And I'm a strong believer that we, to some degree, we're all connected in some way, shape, or form. And so I feel like COVID was just a great way to like really like build that sort of like global camaraderie, right? Where you can be from down the street, or you can be from West Africa, but like we all like are experiencing the same struggle at the same time and are having to get through it together, right? So I thought that was like just super, super powerful. And then I guess one question I have, like, to like sort of like tie back to like this idea of like everything becoming virtual, right? Has performing virtual over the past year, has it affected like the ability for you all to like connect with your audiences in any way? Or has it made it stronger? I'm curious to hear, like, how has that been? Especially like as someone who like loves live performance and like understands, like, you know, as a live performer, you get like a certain energy or like a certain like vibe from your audience that like helps almost in a way like enhance your performance in like a very like surreal and like authentic way.
I would say with performances and everything going virtual, it had a tremendous impact on myself, because it sort of, for me, it takes more out of me to strive to connect with people only on social media and not personally. Being an extrovert and things of that nature, it definitely was very difficult. But I think it was just an opportunity to learn and grow, because getting on Instagram Live was something that I first did when COVID hit. That wasn't a feature of Instagram that I used before COVID. And now I really enjoy that. And they actually have where people can donate to you. So it's actually financially been beneficial to be on Instagram Live and connecting with fans and supporters in that way too. So, yeah.
Nice. I would definitely say it's been different for me. Like I love the energy of live performances and just the vibe that it comes with. But then I also have to realize that sometimes it's, you know, it's not about me, you know, it's about who my music is touching and who it's connecting with. You know, somebody might need this song or like what I'm saying in many different ways. And, you know, and sometimes it's just not about like what I'm feeling or my connection up on stage or how I'm feeling. It's about what the audience feeling, who the song connected to, you know, who did I touch, you know?
Absolutely.
So I think that, you know, realizing that it did, because trust me, at first I was like, oh no, like I'd rather perform in person than online, you know, like especially when we started doing the virtual open mics, and I was like, yeah, I don't know how this is gonna work. But then, you know, just realizing that, you know, you just put it out there. You got to put the music out there, and it does what it does. It touches people, you know.
Yeah. That is very true. I think the one thing that's like so powerful about art is that no matter how you engage with it, it has the power to touch because storytelling is at the root of it all, right? So absolutely. So before we wrap up, I'm curious to, I guess, hear what can we expect from Tay Love and Wolf in 2021 and beyond? Where can we find you? How can we support you?
All right. Yeah, for myself, well, if you'll be in Washington, D.C. On August the 12th, I'll be hosting a big sort of coming out party. Actually, it'll be a pre-release to a mixtape I'll be releasing called It Was Never Easy. But I'll be having like a big pre-mixtape release on August 12th at a venue called Studio 52 in Northeast Washington, D.C. from 5 p.m. to 12 a.m. That'll be on August 12th. But feel free to follow me on Instagram at I am Tay Love. And my YouTube is Tay Love. And I have the mixtape on the way. I can't wait to connect with you all.
That's so exciting. Definitely can't wait.
There's definitely more music coming out for me. Close to the end of the year, I would say September, October for me. Hopefully I get to connect with Tay Love here, and, you know, we get to make some music too. Definitely. You can follow me on Instagram at don.wolf_ on SoundCloud, just Wolf. And, you know.
Absolutely. So yes, I definitely look forward to hearing all the music that is to come from the both of you. As a fellow Washingtonian myself, you know, it's always nice to support and uplift local artists, as always. So with that, thank you both so much for taking the time out of your days to actually talk about storytelling and its impact on our global society and just its impact on you as musicians, right? So thank you both for taking the time again